The crystal champagne glasses clinked as my stepmother, Diana, raised her third toast of the evening. To my darling husband's retirement, she proclaimed, her designer dress sparkling under the ballroom lights. And to selling this tired old company for something more exciting. I watched my father's face fall slightly, though he tried to hide it behind a smile. Chen Manufacturing had been his life's work, built from nothing over 30 years. Now, at his own retirement party, he was watching his trophy wife of 5 years plan its dismantling. But Diana wasn't done. Her eyes found me across the crowded room, glittering with malice. Of course, some people thought they'd inherit this company, she said loudly, making sure everyone could hear. Poor little Alexandra, thinking Daddy would hand over a multi-million-dollar business to someone who can't even keep a relationship longer than 6 months. The room grew uncomfortably quiet. Several board members shifted awkwardly, while others pretended to be fascinated by their drinks. My father just stared at his shoes, saying nothing, as usual. It's for the best, really, Diana continued, her voice dripping with fake sympathy. Running a company requires maturity, experience, a proper family image. She patted her perfectly flat stomach meaningfully, a reminder of her recent announcement that she was trying to give my father a real heir. I felt my cheeks burn but kept my face neutral. Let her have her moment. She had no idea what was coming. Would you like to say something, Alexandra? Diana asked sweetly. Perhaps congratulate your father on his retirement and his wise decision about the company's future. I stood slowly, smoothing my black blazer. At 28, I was young for a CFO, but I'd earned every step up the corporate ladder. Not that Diana knew that, she thought I was just another middle manager, kept around out of my father's guilt after my mother's death. Actually, I said, my voice clear and steady, I do have something to say. Diana's smirk widened as I walked to the center of the room. She probably expected tears, pleading, maybe even a scene. Instead, I pulled out a thick envelope from my briefcase. 6 months ago, I began, addressing the whole room, Chen Manufacturing underwent a quiet restructuring. The board approved it unanimously. I glanced at several board members who nodded slightly. My father transferred majority ownership to a new holding company. Diana's smirk faltered slightly. My father finally looked up, confusion crossing his face. The holding company is called NLW Enterprises, I continued, enjoying the way Diana's perfectly made-up face scrunched in confusion. NLW stands for Mary Louise Wong, my mother's name. Now Diana's champagne glass was shaking slightly. What are you talking about? She demanded. I opened the envelope and began laying out documents on the nearest table. These papers show that I own 67% of Chen Manufacturing through NLW Enterprises. My father retains 30%, and the remaining 3% is divided among key employees. The room erupted in chaos. Diana lunged for the papers, her expensive manicure scratching at the legal documents as if she could make them disappear. This is impossible, she shrieked. James, tell her this is impossible. But my father was smiling, really smiling, for the first time in years. It's all legal, Diana, he said quietly. Alexandra earned this. She's been practically running the company for the past 2 years while I've been distracted. He looked at me apologetically. But, Diana sputtered, her face turning an alarming shade of red beneath her makeup. We have plans. The house in the Hamptons, the yacht club membership. About that, I said, pulling out another document. As majority owner, I've been reviewing all company expenses, including the rather generous consulting fees being paid to your brother's fake marketing firm and the business trips that somehow always ended up at luxury spas. Diana went pale. You wouldn't dare. I already have. The board has approved a full audit. The police are very interested in some of the more creative accounting you and your brother arranged. James. Diana whirled on my father. Are you going to let her do this to me? Your wife. My father stood straighter than I'd seen him stand since my mother died. My late wife, Mary, helped me build this company, he said firmly. She made me promise it would go to our daughter when the time was right. Alexandra has proven herself more than capable. And you? He shook his head sadly. You proved yourself too, just not in the way you intended. Diana's carefully constructed world was crumbling. Her designer purse fell open as she grabbed for her phone, spilling its contents across the floor. Among them was a small USB drive that I recognized, one that had gone missing from my father's office months ago, containing proprietary company designs. Looking for a buyer for our trade secrets? I asked quietly, picking up the drive. That would explain all those lunch meetings with our competitors. Diana's face contorted with rage. She raised her hand as if to slap me, but my father caught her wrist. Security will escort you out, I said calmly. Your personal belongings will be shipped to you after they're checked for any other company property, of course. And Diana, I smiled sweetly, channeling her own fake sympathy, don't worry about the prenup. It has a lovely clause about corporate espionage. As security led a screaming Diana away, the room buzzed with excitement. Board members came to congratulate me. Employees who'd suffered under Diana's reign looked relieved. And my father pulled me into a tight hug. I'm so sorry, Alex, he whispered. I've been such a fool. Your mother would be so proud of you. I hugged him back, breathing in the familiar scent of his aftershave. I know, Dad. I know. But our moment of reconciliation was interrupted by an urgent call. Diana's brother had been caught trying to delete files from the company servers, and something told me this was just the beginning of the storm. I touched my mother's old wedding ring, which I wore on a chain around my neck. Ready for this, Dad? He squeezed my shoulder. Lead the way, CEO. As we walked to the elevator, I could still hear Diana's shrieks from the lobby, but I wasn't worried. I'd learned from the best, my mother's business acumen, my father's innovation, and yes, even Diana's raw ambition. They'd all taught me valuable lessons. Now it was time to show them exactly what those lessons had created. The morning after the retirement party, I arrived at Chin Manufacturing earlier than usual. The sun hadn't even risen, but I found my father already in his office, sorting through years of memories. Couldn't sleep either? I asked, helping him pack a framed photo of him and Mom at the company's grand opening. Been thinking about your mother, he said softly. She always said you had her business instincts. Watch out for that girl, she'd tell me. She'll outshine us both someday. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. It was Marcus, our head of IT security. Miss Chen, we have a situation. Multiple attempts to access our servers from unauthorized locations, and you need to see this. Within minutes, I was staring at my computer screen in disbelief. Someone had leaked confidential company emails to our biggest competitors. But these weren't just any emails, they were carefully selected to make it look like Chin Manufacturing had been engaging in corporate espionage. Diana, I muttered. She's trying to trigger an industry investigation. That's not all, Marcus said grimly. She's also leaked evidence suggesting your takeover was illegal. The press is already picking up the story. Right on cue, my phone exploded with notifications. Tech heiress in hostile takeover scandal, read one headline. Family drama threatens industry giant, declared another. Dad, he looked heartbroken. Alex, I'm so sorry. If I hadn't brought Diana into our lives. No, Dad, I cut him off. This isn't your fault. But I know whose fault it is. I pressed the intercom. Janet, call an emergency board meeting and get me Victoria Chen on the line. Your cousin, the federal prosecutor? Dad asked, surprised. I smiled grimly. Diana wanted to play dirty. Time to show her what that really means. The next few hours were chaos. Diana had gone on a morning news show, playing the part of the concerned wife perfectly. I just want to protect my husband's legacy, she said tearfully. Alexandra's hostile takeover has devastated him, and now with these allegations of corporate espionage. But Diana had made one crucial mistake. In her rush to destroy me, she'd used the stolen USB drive to access company files, leaving a clear digital trail. Got her, Marcus announced triumphantly. Every unauthorized access, every leaked document, it all traces back to her brother's IP address. And, he grinned, we found something else, emails between Diana and our biggest competitor, dating back months before she married your father. The pieces clicked into place. She targeted Dad from the beginning, I realized. The whole marriage was a corporate raid. The oldest trick in the book, Dad said quietly. And I fell for it completely. Just then, my cousin Victoria called back. After hearing the situation, she was silent for a moment. You know, she said finally, we've been investigating Diana's brother's firm for months, tax fraud, money laundering, but we could never prove where the money was coming from. This could be exactly what we need. Do it, I said firmly. The next day, as Diana was preparing for another TV interview to slander me, federal agents raided her brother's office. By evening, both siblings were in custody, and the truth was splashed across every business news channel. Corporate heiress, CEO's wife arrested in manufacturing espionage scandal, family feud reveals years-long corporate conspiracy, young CEO saves family company from hidden takeover. But the real satisfaction came when we found Diana's prenup violation clause was just the tip of the iceberg. The federal investigation revealed offshore accounts, shell companies, and a pattern of targeting wealthy business owners for marriage scams. 7 other victims, Victoria told me, all wealthy men, all with valuable companies. You and your father were supposed to be number 8. In the end, Diana and her brother faced federal charges for corporate espionage, fraud, and money laundering. The evidence was overwhelming. But before they were led away, I visited Diana in custody. How? She demanded, her designer outfit replaced by an orange jumpsuit. How did you know what I was planning? I pulled out an old photo, my mother at my age, standing proudly in front of Chin Manufacturing. Because my mother dealt with people like you all the time. She taught me to spot the vultures circling our company. That's why she made Dad promise to train me properly, to protect her legacy. I leaned closer. You never had a chance, Diana. You were playing checkers. I was playing chess. 3 months later, Chin Manufacturing was stronger than ever. Our stock price had soared after the scandal, as clients appreciated how we'd handled the crisis. Dad was truly retired now, traveling the world and sending me postcards from places Mom had always wanted to visit. As for me, I hung Mom's photo in my office, the CEO's office, right next to the latest company achievement, innovation and leadership, Alexandra Chen named youngest CEO of the year. But my favorite moment came during a charity gala when I overheard 2 society women gossiping. Did you hear about James Chen's daughter? The one who exposed that gold digger conspiracy. They say she's twice as brilliant as her mother was, and 3 times as ruthless when crossed. I smiled, touching Mom's ring around my neck. They had no idea. In business, as in life, the best revenge isn't serving it cold. It's building something so strong that no one dares to try destroying it again. Dad called that evening from Greece. Your mother would be so proud, he said, his voice thick with emotion. Not just of the company, but of who you've become. Looking out over the city from my office window, I thought about everything, the lessons, the loss, the victories. I learned from the best, I replied. Both of you. After all, that's what real family legacy is about, not the money or the company, but the strength to protect what matters, the wisdom to spot true from false, and the courage to fight for what's yours. Diana had wanted to play games with our company. Instead, she'd helped make me exactly the CEO Chin Manufacturing needed, one who could spot a threat from a mile away and handle it with the perfect mix of grace and steel, just like Mom would have done.